Good evening, students. I welcome you all to the lecture of Advanced Microprocessor and Microcontroller. As you know that timers and counters are the integral part of the syllabus of Advanced Microprocessor and Microcontroller. So let us discuss the very important topic for 8051, that is timers and counters. So as you know, in case of embedded system, that is in case of 8051, timers and counters are integral part of the embedded system. Therefore, the basic purpose of timers and counters are met by the embedded system itself as an integral feature. So, when we talk about counters and timers, you know that microprocessor require certain events which need to be counted. To relieve the microcontroller from loops of counting, we have internal timers. So the timers, there are basically two important timers and counters. The counters are divided into two 8-bit registers, that is TL0 and TL1, and a higher counters, that is TH0 and TH1. All the counter action is controlled by two important special function registers, that is TMOD and TCON. So TMOD is timer mode control register and TCON is timer control register. So what is timer, counter and interrupt? So when a program wishes to count a certain number of internal events or external events, it need the requirement of timer or a counter. So in order to perform the counter operation or a timer operation, a number needs to be placed in a counter, and the number is represented by maximum count less than the desired number plus 1. So it counts from initial to maximum and then it rolls out. So when the count is completed, a flag is set to indicate the user that the counting operation is completed. So flag may be used as an interrupt program in case of timer and counter. So there are basically two important operations for 8051, that is timing and counting. So what's the difference between a timer and a counter? So in case of a timer, the internal clock the internal clock of 8051 is used as clock frequency, which is divided by 12 by divided by 12 network. Say for example, the crystal frequency is giving 6 megahertz. The timer clock will give 500 kilohertz by using divided by 12 network. Now this timer clock is gated to the timer by a circuitry which is shown in this figure. Now there are two operations. One operation is that the internal oscillator frequency of 8051 is divided by 12, and the second condition is that in case of TMOD register, there is a specific bit, that is C by T0. When C by T0 is set equal to 0, it is called as timer operation, and when it is set as C by T bar is set equal to 1, it is called as counter operation. So in case of a timer operation, we use internal clock frequency of 8051, while in case of counter operation, the external pulses are basically counted, which are provided at pin T0 and T1 of pin diagram of 8051. Now, from this part, when it is used as timer, that is C by divided by T bar is equal to 0, that before reaching the timer stage, it is being controlled by this specific circuitry. Now this specific circuitry is basically the control portion. From the timer control, from timer 1 or timer 0 control bit, it controls via this AND gate. Now one of the input is from control from the TR bit of TCON register, and the second bit is basically the gate bit of TMOD register, or the interrupt pin of external interrupt pin of 8051. So either gate bit or external interrupt pin in combination with TR bit of TCON register, that is TR bit of TCON register, or one of the bit of one of the one of the two inputs, that is gate bit or external interrupts of 8051 pin diagram, control this operation, this gate operation, and from this gate operation it is sent to the timer stage. It is for timer. While in case of counter, if the C by T bar is set equal to 1, then it is used in counter operation. Now here the external pulse is provided on T0 and T1 of the pin diagram of 8051, and from that stage this information is sent to the next stage. So therefore we can conclude that control is in the hands of timer, it is in the hand of gate bit, or it is in the hand of interrupt pin, external interrupt pin. So So we can conclude a counter can be configured as timer, or timer can be used as a counter. If C by T bar bit is set equal to 0, it will be termed as timer, and when C by T bar bit is equal to 1, it is set as counter. The TR pulse, X means 0 or 1, the timer 0 or timer 1 of TCON register will decide the movement of gate. So timer pulse are gated to counter and the counter is configured as timer. So it is basically run bit and gate bit or external input pin which will decide the operation of overall timer and control. Sorry, it will decide the operation of a timer. While in case of counter, T0 and T1 in combination with C by T bar will decide the operation of a counter. So this is all about the introduction of timer and counter in case of 8051. I hope you will like this lecture. Thank you very much for listening.